everyone. Good morning. It is so nice to have Joanne Wong with us today. I'm Sujin Chung, founder of Climate Bridge Korea, New York. Joanne is currently traveling from Canada to New York, and she kindly took the time to have this webinar with us. So today we have Joanne Wong, who is a chair of IEEE Entrepreneurship, which is the largest technical professional organization in the world. Joanne is general partner of REDDS Capital, a California VC firm investing in global early-stage IT startups. She has worked with IBM, HP, SAP, and Cisco in multiple technical market development and strategy investments positions. Joanne was the executive director of a healthcare charity startup providing free green access to high-performance computational resources for biomedical researchers. She has co-founded startup in 3D simulation for learning and a startup of a multimodal research data management platform for the longitudinal clinical test studies. She's a mentor advisor for multiple startups. Joanne has served on several boards, including the Government of Canada ICT Sector Council, setting research and advising ICT policy for the country. Without further ado, here's Joanne.
Thank you very much, Sujin. It's a pleasure to be here. And my apologies again. I am traveling today, heading to New York City. I'm based in Montreal, Canada, and I'm not driving. Someone is driving, and I thought I would get better signal. Well, the signal is good, but the background is not the best. So my apologies for that. I look forward to talking with you all and talking with you about IEEE entrepreneurship. And Sujin, would you or Grace be able to show the deck?
Of course.
The slides, and we could just move along.
Okay, let me start showing the presentation.
Thank you.
Okay.
A bit about who IEEE is, and Sujin has explained a bit about that. But if any of you or have been in the engineering, studied engineering, or have friends who have studied engineering, if they're in the electrical engineering department, they would most likely know IEEE. Simple reason, IEEE is the Institute of Electrical and Electronics Engineers. And this is the largest professional organization in the world. We have about over 460,000 members across the globe. And IEEE is well known for its publications in its technical journals for electrical engineering, computer science, and electronics. And so that's the foundation of IEEE, because electrical engineering students, whether you're in your undergraduate, graduate, researchers, engineering professors, most likely this constitutes the majority of our members, and obviously the graduates who work in industry. And consequently, IEEE has multiple society in the technical arena. If you look at communications, if you look at power, energy, if you look at electronics, etc., computer society, and all this are the core technical components of IEEE. And IEEE Entrepreneurship is an entity amongst this, where we look at providing our membership, connecting tech entrepreneurs to an innovation network. And we look at doing this in multiple ways of providing a membership services, and also for those who are not members, because we're open to all the community in the startup ecosystem, because we start looking at what kind of programs can we provide to tech entrepreneurs around the world. If you can turn on next slide, please.
Sure.
So some of the programs that we've built it based on a global basis so that anyone can have access to it. So a lot of this is based on virtual. So two of the our virtual programs is the Mentors program and also the Women Entrepreneurs Support Network program. And it's really looking at how to support entrepreneurs such as yourself in whether that is to, let's say, to help your organization grow. If you're stuck in a certain place, some of these mentors can provide it, and we try to find the right mentors for you. Now, if you're a women entrepreneur, we're trying to build a support network by using a Slack channel, where we have multiple webinars that are made available to the women entrepreneurs around the world. And so we have usually every 2 or 3 months, we have sessions. And also just by the nature of the Slack technology, is you can form a network with other women entrepreneurs. And then the other thing that I also want to bring your attention to is we offer IEEE Entrepreneurship Impact Award. This year, the Impact Award is $2,000 and the deadline date is October 31st. So you can still apply for that. But next year, we've raised the award prize to $10,000. So next year, the award prize will be for $10,000. As it says, is given to an individual who's made a significant impact in the engineering-driven entrepreneurship, entrepreneurial ecosystem. That is open to all. You don't have to be an IEEE member to apply for that prize. The other resources we also look at is just by the nature of who IEEE is, because we're very much in the deep tech arena from a startup perspective. So we look at what kind of educational resources we can provide for deep tech startup founders. So some of this is that we're building up educational resources, and we're building this with the Robotics Automation Society on deep tech manufacturing, because we know engineers are excellent product designer, but we want to help them designing the product so it's manufacturable. And that's a very key component. And the other thing that we also look at is working with our membership, because a lot of them are academic researchers, is how to commercialize their patents and research to be a startup. So some of those things we're doing, if you can turn the slide again, please.
Sure.
So as I mentioned, as we build these programs that we have, we also look at it from a global perspective. So we break up our programs into regions: USA, Canada, Europe, Middle East, Africa, Latin America, and Asia Pac. And so some of these programs in each region, the engineers, they look at what they find would be useful in their geographic region. So they build it accordingly. So I'll give you an example. US, Canada is, we're looking at building a hard tech venture summit, bringing investors and startups in the hard tech community with manufacture for a summit. That's going to be aimed for next year. In Europe, Middle East, Africa, one of the big events that we're engaged with is GITEX. And GITEX is in Dubai, and it just finished a couple of weeks ago. They have about 200,000 attendees. A large component of that is for startups, but also for large tech companies. So we've built 3-day programming there for startups in the entrepreneurship to work with that community in that region. And in Latin America, we're looking at pitch competition and also tech transfer workshops. Now in Asia Pac, and this coming from the volunteers, they want to look at how do we do AgTech robotics competition. And they're looking at how to bring the regions of Southeast Asia, especially in Malaysia, Singapore, Vietnam, in that area with China. And then they've done a series of entrepreneurship sessions, whether it's on-site, virtual, and also building social entrepreneurship hackathons. So all these, depending on the regions, is building up different programs. Now, if any of the folks within your community, the ones attending this call, would like to participate, I've given my email. You can contact me or contact Sujin, and we'll get connected with you. And if you want to build something within IEEE Entrepreneurship, we can look at building something together. Next slide, please. Now, some of the conferences I brought up, I just want to bring to your attention because they're happening in the next months. In particular, there's one that's happening up that could be of interest for you if you're in Korea. Is that there is an event in Singapore. We're working with Singapore Innovate and having a clean energy and smart city venture catalyst. And that's a one-day event on November 28th. And it's looking at connecting investors and startups in this domain. And we're limiting to the number of attendees so that we can make sure that the investors and startups build relationships and that it's not just talking heads. And all attendees are vetted so that they meet the investors' criteria and expectations. And we've invited investors to our high net worth individuals and family offices in the region. And so this could be of interest for those on the call here. So if there is interest, just contact me. My email's later on, or Sujin, and we can give you the information. Next slide, please. The next one is happening in January. If this could be of interest for you, it's done by the Power Energy Society, and it's being held the end of January in San Diego. And what they're doing, the key one to this conference is to meet with America's utilities.
Mm-hmm.
And so the energy startups and investors who are there is, especially with the startups who are looking to build pilot projects.
Mm-hmm.
When they held this event, they're holding this event every 2 years. 2 years ago, they held it. I believe they had about over 35 unique American utilities who were looking for innovation projects. And it'll be the case again here. And what the thing there is to build up that the startups are connected with the American utilities who could be interested in their tech.
Mm-hmm.
And this is critical because to get utilities engaged is finding the right utilities who want to do this. And not all utilities are created equal. Some are more innovative, more engaging with startups than others. So this could be a place for you to meet up those folks and find out if your tech is of value for these American utilities.
Mm-hmm. I mean, Joanne, if I may ask a question,
Sure.
APRI has a program called Incubate Energy, and they have a similar program where the utilities companies, I don't know if you are aware of that, where they provide like a POC opportunities, and just wondering if you can compare the program.
That, unfortunately, I cannot.
Okay.
So I'm not familiar enough with it. So this one, probably that program you're talking about is probably more established because this is the second time they're doing this. Okay.
Okay.
And so you may be meeting with different people because the people from the American utilities here, I met up with them 2 years ago, and they were looking, and they're looking for different projects. So it could be different players that are engaged. And any utility companies is such a labyrinth, and they're so huge. You got to make sure you're hitting the right people, and these people attending are looking for projects.
Got it.
And so the part that I asked some of the utilities company, I said, "What's your greatest challenge?" And the one they said number one was storage.
Oh,
okay.
okay.
And they said they haven't found anything really innovative in that sector yet, but they're looking for storage solution, and that keeps them up at night.
Okay, Korea has quite a bit of that actually.
So that would be good to get known.
Yeah, is there any stage of a startup that you have to be to apply for this?
No, you can be at any stage, you'll be fine.
Okay.
So it's pretty open to all the stages.
Okay, that's great. Okay,
Okay.
amazing.
So, the next slide, please.
Okay.
The next slide, this one is it's a Hard Tech Venture Summit. It's bringing together startups and investors who have hardware in their technology, which is quite applicable for climate tech, because a lot of climate tech technology has hardware in it. But this is bringing in the ecosystem. So we want manufacturers there too, who are working with startups, because not all manufacturers, especially large manufacturers, are willing to work with startups. So we're having the small, mid-sized companies, manufacturers, be at this show, at this summit, to work with startups. And we also have obviously investors in the startups, but everyone has to be in the hard tech domain. So we're just starting the planning phase now. So Sujin, I'll pull you in on this one. So we'll talk about this further later on. And this is being held in mid-June in San Francisco. The week of June 15th. And it's being held, we're being hosted by one of IEEE Technical Society, which is MTT, the Microwave Theory and Technology Society. Don't be fooled by the name. It's anything that has connectivity. So, because everything is connected through wireless, and that's what they're engaged in. And this is their flagship event. So their event on an annual basis brings in about over 10,000 attendees, and they have over 500 exhibitors. So they're already engaged in this domain. Their attendees are already in the hardware space, so it's also good to connect with other, could have potential partners and customers there too. And so, but we're limiting this to 300 attendees. Again, is to really vet out the the startups and the investors, everyone that's attended, they have to bring value and they meet the criteria of the investors.
Mm-hmm.
And this one we're limiting to anyone. Right now, we're still looking at the criteria, but we'll probably max it out that a startup has not raised more than 25 million US. Okay. That doesn't include grants. You could get $100 million in grants. That's fine. As long as you haven't raised 25 million in equity. And so that one, just stay tuned for that. We'll get the information out. We'll share it with Sujin, and you can share it with your clientele there.
Of course, yes, yeah.
And the next slide, please. So as I talked to you about all these programs, I put up the QR code, but you can also go on the website on entrepreneurship.IEEE.org. You can just join IEEE Entrepreneurship. It's free. There's no cost to you. And you get connected to the newsletter of what's happening and also updates on these conferences and events that's happening around the world. I gave you my email address at IEEE and also at Reds Capital. And so at Reds Capital, we invest, as Sujin said earlier, in early stage, preferably pre-seed and seed IT startups. So I know in climate change, you have management system. So those are the things we would look at. We wouldn't necessarily look at battery storage, anything in that context, because we don't have the expertise in that. But within our networks, if we find something of value, we will share it with our investor network.
Okay, that's amazing. Okay, great. Okay, thank you
So
so much, Joanne. Yeah.
thank you very much.
Of course, thank you. I am is there any I'm wondering if there are any questions for Joanne at this point. We went through quite a bit of events. So if you have any questions, feel free to type in the chat or we can just raise your hand and ask a question as well. Okay. If not, I mean, there are like plenty of opportunities, and I am just say I would love to have Korean companies to join this and then participate and then benefit from this. But so there's no limit to where you should be, right? You can be anywhere.
No, there isn't. No.
Yeah.
And if you also as we're doing global events, because I know the event we do in Dubai with GITEX, we bring in startups. Okay, so startups can be on the main stage and talk about their technology and things like that. And I know GITEX, they're planning to open up their GITEX event in Singapore next year. So just from a geographic, it might work out better there. But we know there's a lot of Asian companies, startups that go to Dubai just because of the money, follow the money trail. And so there's a lot there. So we like to open the doors as much as possible to all.
That's amazing. Okay. Is there any kind of like a system for you to introduce the startups to investors?
In a sense, well, we try to do it through these summits or these conferences. So that's a possibility by just attending. And if you're vetted and you get accepted, then all the great, because you'll be able to attend those. And the same thing, like if you you're within your network, if any of these Korean companies say, hey, you find, hey, we should make sure they're engaged with some of your events, just tell us and we'll figure out how to make it happen.
Okay, that's amazing. Okay. So if anybody's interested, you can reach me or Joanne directly, and then I'm sure we'll be happy to provide you any resources you may need to be vetted and accepted and being able to be out there in the world. So okay, thank you so much, Joanne.
Thank you very much. Have a great day.
Yeah,
and I apologize again about the car thing. It wasn't expected.
No problem. Thank you so much for doing this while you were in the car, and we'd love to speak to you again soon.
Okay, thank you. Have a great day.
Thank you. Okay.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Okay, bye.